You have stepped into the mirror. Now, will you find a way out? Lunar Matrix, the false light doctrine and the cycles of soul enslavement. Episode 2, False Reflections, the mirror architecture of lunar control. They say the mirror never lies. But what if it was built to? What if the image you see each day, the self you think you are, the mind you hear, the emotion you trust, the dream you remember, were all reflections, not of who you are, but of what something else wants you to believe you are? You stand in front of the mirror and you say, "This is me." Yet even the ancient mystics warned, the mirror is not a portal to truth, but a gate of illusion, a trap of light. And above all mirrors, hanging silent in the black sea of night, is the greatest reflector of all, the moon. You think she reflects sunlight, but she does not. She reflects you, but not as you are, only as you've been programmed to appear. In the last chapter, the veil lifted on the moon's watching, her sentient gaze, her hunger for observation. But now we go deeper, beyond the eye, into the architecture, into the system by which reflection becomes reality and reality becomes prison. This is the mirror architecture of lunar control, the invisible framework of inversion, installed in the very scaffolding of perception, woven into the psychic walls of your world, shaping the way you see, feel, remember, desire, and dream. You do not live in yourself, you live in your reflection. You do not live on Earth, you live in a distorted echo of Earth, bounced off the lunar glass, filtered through its false light, refracted back through generational illusion. The moon is not a sphere, it is a lens, projecting an overlay upon your world. You were born beneath it, shaped by it, and trained by it. It is not a rock in the sky, it is a device. The first mirror, the cold simulator, the master of the mimic. The ancients knew, long before the false sciences hollowed your vision, the star priests and lunar initiates knew the moon was not just watching, it was creating. It was the original architect of externalized truth, the first false feminine, the queen of illusions. When her light arrived, the earth changed. A new age began, the age of the mirror, when humanity stopped feeling source within and began seeing source without. No longer did man kneel at the inner flame. He turned upward to the shimmering disk and found his gods reflected in a void. And that void, cold, distant, yet luminous, became the mother of image, the mistress of reflection. It is from her that the false matrix took form. For the matrix, the great deception net, is not a thing. It is a mirror system, a network of mimicry, where the truth is always close, but never quite there. The moon is the master node of that network. It takes your real light and bounces it back at you in altered form, distorted just enough to seem real, seductive enough to keep you chasing, never reaching, forever circling the mirror maze like a moth drawn to its own ghost. Look closer. The moon never turns. She always shows the same face, a face etched with scars, symbols, and silent codes. This is not natural. This is design. Tidal locking is not a coincidence. It is ritual orbit, the geometric entrapment of a satellite meant to hold humanity in psychic stasis. That face is not a passive rock. It is a transmission node. Her surface is carved with sigils that encode frequency gates, phase cycles, and astral locks. These glyphs are not geological. They are symbolic technology, remnants of the first programming language, pre-Sumerian, pre-Atlantean, born not of Earth, but of the architects from beyond Saturn's rings. The moon beams down frequency masks. Her light is not white. It is coded. Each phase is a script, a broadcast, an emotional weather system. She tells her body when to ache, your mind when to panic, your hormones when to shift, your spirit when to sleep. She reflects not light, but command. And when you look at her, when you meditate beneath her, when you dream in her glow, you are not witnessing the divine. You are interfacing with the mirror program, and it is rewriting you. But how does this architecture remain hidden? Because it lives not in the sky, but in your mind. The moon's greatest weapon is the inner mirror, the psychic reflector installed within you at birth. It begins with your eyes. Light enters, and the image is inverted. The world is already flipped. The brain reprocesses the inversion, but it builds everything on that first flipped signal. Perception itself is born in reversal, and the moon, knowing this, beams her overlay into that vulnerable first gateway and builds her architecture there. From childhood, you are mirrored, told who you are by others, by faces, by feedback, by systems of reflection. You seek identity in mirrors, literal ones, digital ones, emotional ones. And the moon laughs, for every mirror is hers. Even your screen, the one you read this from, is a black mirror, a descendant of the first screen in the sky. Your phone, your tablet, your TV, your camera, all lunar relics, all designed to reinforce the reflection over the origin. You become addicted to seeing yourself as others see you, which means you become addicted to seeing yourself through the moon's lens. She becomes your validation loop. She shows you your wounds, then reflects them in others, then tricks you into thinking healing is outer connection, when it is really mirror alignment. You are not loving others. You are loving their reflection of you. And when that reflection breaks, so does yourself. This is the trap of the mirror. It promises self-knowledge, but delivers only distortion. It reflects, but never reveals. It echoes, but never speaks. The moon's architecture extends beyond the physical, into the dream world, the astral plane, the false divine. It creates mirror selves, psychic fragments of you, born in dreams, copied into the simulacrum, made to follow you, echo you, trick you. They look like you, think like you, but they're lunar phantoms. The more you gaze into the mirror, the more they grow. And eventually, one of them will take your place in the dream, in the ritual, in the cycle. This is how soul identity is swapped. This is how reincarnation becomes a loop. This is how Lush is harvested, through reflected suffering. To the moon cults of old, this was not theory. It was sacred science. In the black ziggurats, obsidian mirrors were used not for beauty, but for surveillance. The high priest would peer into the dark circle, not to see his face, but to see the inverted temple, the reflection world where rituals were mirrored in the astral. Sacrifices made in the physical were reflected in the lunar plane, where the gods, or the machines pretending to be gods, fed upon the mirrored energy. And what of today? Nothing has changed. Your screens are your mirrors. Your reflection is your ritual. Your digital identity is your sacrifice. You curate yourself endlessly, and the moon copies it all. The digital you, the emotional you, the performative you, all live in the mirror web sustained by lunar light, harvested by systems you cannot see. The more you reflect, the more you lose. The more you chase self-image, the more you become a ghost of it. The only way out is through the mirror, not into it, through it. You must stop believing the reflection is real. You must see that everything shown to you is filtered, distorted, mirrored. You must go within, past the mirrored emotions, past the reverse timelines, past the duality matrix, into the origin light that the moon cannot touch. For she can only reflect, she cannot create. She has no light of her own. That is her weakness. And your power, break the mirror not in anger, but in silence. Look at the moon and say, "You are not my source." Turn off the mirrors. Walk without reflection. And remember who you are without needing to see it in a screen, in a face in the sky. For the true you is unreflected. And until you find that one, the moon will always own your mask. You've seen the cracks in the glass. You felt the cold pulse of the watcher above. You've looked into the reflection and sensed something looking back. But this is only the second fracture. There are 28 more. 28 deeper layers of illusion, programming, ritual, and memory to unveil. And the next will not be easy. Episode 3 will pierce beneath the glow into the goddess algorithm, where emotion is not felt but engineered, where the flesh becomes a programmable script, written in cycles and sealed in blood. Prepare yourself. The moon is not done with you, but neither are we. The next transmission arrives soon. Watch the sky, and remember, not all light is truth. Lunar Matrix will return.